First up is a mod called Broken Items Fixed. This mod aims to fix items that aren't working as intended. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know there are a ton of hidden interactions with items. Frankly, there are dozens and dozens of items in Baldur's Gate 3 that simply do not function the way you'd think or don't function the way the item is described, and maybe even in some cases they do the opposite of what the item says. This mod aims to fix these items to let us enjoy them the way the developers intended, and as a consequence, it makes the items more usable for certain builds. Now, one of my favorite items, the Boots of Speed, lets you gain movement speed at the cost of a bonus action, and opportunity attacks are made with disadvantage against you. I love these for a light cleric. However, the boots actually give you disadvantage on your opportunity attacks. So this mod actually fixes that, making them do what they're actually supposed to do. Now, another item that is fixed in this mod is the Bone Spike Helmet. This helmet has a passive feature called Fury in the Marrow, which causes your rage to deal 2d4 psychic damage to hostile creatures in a 10-foot radius unless they pass a wisdom saving throw. Targets take half damage on a save. Now, however, due to a bug, targets usually take no damage on a successful wisdom save, so this mod fixes that, bringing back the damage to half on a successful wisdom saving throw, which is awesome since this is a helmet I've never really used but might just try for fun on a barbarian. And another item that is fixed with this mod is the Enraging Heart Garb. This Ruin Tamer Heart feature causes the wearer to generate 2 turns of wrath while raging. But due to a bug, this does nothing, which is a real shame. So this mod makes this passive function as intended, causing 2 turns of wrath upon use of rage and at the start of each turn while raging. This is an awesome fix, definitely makes this a much better armor, and I can't wait to try out. And another passive feature that this mod fixes is Shadow Blade. Now, you might not recall what item this is on, but it's actually on a short sword that is included in many of the best builds in the game, the Knife of the Undermountain King. This passive feature grants advantage on attack rolls against lightly or heavily obscured targets when using this blade. Now, without the mod, this passive actually does nothing, but the mod fixes it to work properly, which is actually an amazing improvement because this is already such a great item and it's used in so many different builds. It would be even better once this actually grants advantage. And another item that is fixed with this mod is the Gloves of Battle Mage's Power. Now, without this mod, this item is broken and does not provide arcane acuity, which means these gloves would only grant +1 to strength saving throws. This mod fixes them and allows them to grant arcane acuity when inflicting a condition with a weapon attack. So this means now we have another source for generating arcane acuity. I have a feeling that with these gloves fixed, they can definitely fit into some builds nicely. And another item that is fixed with this mod is the Pyro Quickness Hat. The hat's Fiery Return passive feature reads, when you deal fire damage with a non-cantrip spell, you burn yourself and gain an additional bonus action this round. The bug is that if you use a bonus action to deal that fire damage, such as using Quickened Spell, then you'll actually lose the bonus action you were supposed to gain from this hat. So with this mod, you'll actually get the bonus action you're supposed to in cases when you use a bonus action to trigger it. And another item that is fixed with this mod is the Marksmanship Hat. Now, in the base game, the +1 bonus applies only to the main hand ranged attacks, so offhand crossbow attacks did not benefit from it. So with this mod, the bonus is supposed to now apply to all ranged attacks, as the item's description suggests it would. I like this hat a lot and wouldn't have even known it was broken, and it would definitely make it much better for those dual hand crossbow builds. However, I tested it and it actually appears to still not apply the +1 to attack rolls made with your offhand ranged weapon. So even though the mod claims to fix this particular hat, it actually does not yet. And the last item that is fixed with this mod is Duke Ravengard's Longsword. This sword passively grants +2 charisma, and whenever you kill an enemy, allies within 30 feet gain temporary hit points equal to your charisma modifier. However, I actually made a video about this, but the temporary hit points that are granted to allies are mistakenly based on the charisma modifier of the receiver instead of the charisma modifier of the wielder of the blade. So this mod fixes that, and now the hit point bonus corresponds to the charisma modifier of the sword's wielder. This is awesome since I love playing a Tav, and most people do, with an insane amount of charisma. So if you wield this blade, it will actually be much stronger now. And while those items are the only ones that this mod fixes, and I wish there were more, I will gladly take these and hope for more fixes created by the community in the future. And next up is Visible Shield. This is a mod which causes all characters to display their shield on their back when their weapons are sheathed. This looks amazing, and it is both more realistic than your shield just completely disappearing when you're not holding it, and it also lets you enjoy how cool your shield looks way more than without the mod. There are a ton of really cool looking shields in the game, which makes this mod great. Also, it helps you know which NPCs actually have shields before you end up in combat with them, which is a nice touch. Now, I wish the base game had this, but that's what this mod is all about, so I highly recommend it. Even if you're not big into mods, this one is a must for me personally. And next up is a mod called Paladins Have Gods. This mod grants Paladins the option to choose a deity when starting a campaign, when changing classes to a paladin, or when multi-classing. This mod is amazing because there are a ton of secret dialogue options for paladins with deities that you can only otherwise access by multi-classing into cleric and then leveling as a paladin, because Larian removed paladin deities for the final release of the game. This mod saves you from having to multi-class into cleric to get that extremely elusive paladin of deity tag, which exists but is so rarely obtained. So grab this mod and check out all the hidden dialogue for being a paladin with a deity. And next up is a mod called Traders Drop All Loot. This mod makes it so that when a trader dies, it will drop every single item that it has available for sale. Now, usually you'd have to remember to sell the trader a container and put all their items in there before you slay them in order to get all their loot. But this massive quality of life improvement mod lets you skip that process and slay traders worry-free. Also, it makes it a more captivating option. Who needs to steal from a trader when they just drop all their loot on death anyways? So you can just go ahead and start slaying traders, right? This is a great mod to make sure you don't miss any amazing gear, which surprisingly, a lot of it actually comes from traders. And next up is a mod called Inspirations Uncapped, or as I like to call it, Hidden Rewards Uncapped. This mod removes the inspiration cap of 4 and lets you get as many inspiration points as you could possibly want. This is great because there's actually an insane amount of inspiration points, or I mean hidden rewards, to earn in Baldur's Gate 3, so this lets you keep earning them without feeling like you need to use them as you play. This is a great quality of life add-on, or mod I should say, that I recommend everyone install. And next up is a mod called Bag of Holding. Tav always wished for a bag of holding, and this mod gives you one. The bag of holding weighs 30 pounds regardless of what is inside. This means that if you ever have too much to carry, just throw your heavy items into your bag of holding and you'll magically be able to carry more. It's a pretty incredible little bag, and I can totally see why Tav wished he had one. Make Tav's dream come true and get the Bag of Holding mod to make inventory management a breeze. And next up is Longstrider QoL. This mod is amazing for making Longstrider easier to use. As the name might suggest, it improves the quality of life for using Longstrider. This mod changes the spell from being a single target ritual spell to a 15-meter area of effect ritual spell that is also now permanent. So if your character dies and you resurrect them, they're still going to have it. And even though as you level up, you can upcast Longstrider to target more allies, that takes time to obtain that higher level of spell, and you'll also probably still need to ungroup your party and move them closer together to the caster, since vanilla Longstrider has a pretty limited cast range. Longstrider QoL solves all of that, making it a massive AoE and permanent, giving you and your allies this condition quickly and easily. And next up is AlfiraJoinsTheParty. This mod allows Alfira the Bard to join your party just by helping her finish her song she's working on while in the Druid's Grove. This works for both a Tav or Dark Urge playthrough, and after you helped Alfira finish her song and then long rest, this will trigger her recruitment scene. The recruitment scene is essentially the Dark Urge Alfira scene, but with a much happier outcome. The mod comes with join and dismiss from party dialogue, and Alfira will be a fully functional party member that can level up, multi-class, respec, and her gear will actually update when you give her new equipment. Not only that, but the mod adds a tent for Alfira to each of the game's camps so that Alfira feels right at home. And although this mod is definitely the closest we have to getting Alfira as an actual companion, it doesn't have any additional dialogue lines, of course, no party banter, no responses to point and click interactions, and when it comes to swapping Alfira in and out of the party, you'll have to do it with the old method. You can't actually swap by talking to the new companion that you want to add. But with all that said, this mod is incredible for finally allowing our favorite bard to join the party permanently without any major downsides. And next up is a message from this video sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is the ultimate vehicle combat game, offering an unparalleled experience across tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships. It's completely free to play on PC, consoles, and mobile. Take command of over 2,500 vehicles from 10 major nations, spanning from the early 20th century biplanes and armored cars to modern fighter jets and battle tanks. And the new mobile version of War Thunder is now available on iOS and Android, so you can take the action with you wherever you are. It offers easy-to-use controls, stunning graphics, and the same intense multiplayer battles you know and love, featuring dynamic ground and sea combat with air support. War Thunder features fast-paced, realistic battles where meticulously detailed vehicles, stunning graphics, and immersive sound effects put you in control of the most most advanced war machines. Now, one thing I personally really like about War Thunder is how intuitive and easy it is to learn and get started. Without playing any tutorials, I just jumped in a game and was able to start taking down enemies via aerial combat, which I recommend trying out. And I also really liked how the sound effects were really immersive. There's over 70 million players worldwide for you to join in on thrilling PvP action with and explore an expansive world of military history. With a vast array of high-quality content to uncover, War Thunder is the perfect game for history buffs and combat enthusiasts alike. So start playing War Thunder for free today on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile. Use my links in the pinned comment or video description to sign up. New players, as well as those who haven't played in the last 6 months, will get a massive bonus pack for PC and consoles. The pack includes several premium vehicles, the exclusive Eagle of Valor vehicle decal, 100,000 Silver Lions, 7 days of premium account access, and much more. This offer is available for a limited time, so don't wait, click the link now. And next up is the adjustable party limit. This mod is pretty self-explanatory. It increases the number of party members you can have active from 4 to anywhere between 1 and 16. This is the perfect mod if you just love all your companions too much to leave them in camp and want them all on your adventure with you. After installing the mod, it explains how it works, having to increase or decrease the party limit when locking it in with 2 different cantrips. You'll also want dynamic sidebars so that as you gain more party members, their portraits will scale down a bit and you can scroll so you can still see all your party members. Also, you can't long rest with more than 4 party members, so the mod makes another cantrip that lets you easily trim it back down to 4. So it's kind of a hassle to reassemble your party after each long rest, but it's not that bad thanks to that trimming spell at night. It's definitely a must-have mod if you want all your companions at once, and you'll probably want to increase the difficulty once you have a big party though. And next up is OIOPrime. This mod is incredibly helpful for navigating dialogue options. It marks each dialogue option with how your companions will react to your choice in terms of approval or disapproval before you make a choice. It marks the difficulty class of any check or saving throw so that you can choose the easiest option if you wanted to, and whether or not you'd have advantage. It also shows which dialogue options lead nowhere, so if you wanted to explore them without penalty, the back arrows kind of indicate those. Also, it shows dialogue options that are Dark Urge specific with a D. And overall, this mod is just fantastic for seeing more of the consequences of your actions before you make them. Maybe to some people that takes the fun out of it or the surprise, but it also helps if you want to romance a specific character and are trying to gain their approval, or even just make the quote best dialogue choices. And next up is the Show Camp Night notification mod. This mod is actually a must for any playthrough. Anytime you would trigger a cutscene by long resting, an exclamation mark will appear above your avatar's head. This mod made me realize just how many cutscenes I've missed because of how many are available even just by entering the Druid's Grove. Not to mention, once companions join you, how many they will then trigger. So, if you ever see that exclamation mark above your head after a long rest, the mod isn't bugged. Yep, you have even more cutscenes to watch during a long rest. So it's a very helpful mod that serves as a reminder to long rest and soak up all of the awesome cutscenes that there are. Also, you can trigger these cutscenes by performing a long rest without camp supplies, so if you're ever worried about using up all your camp supplies by long resting repeatedly, you don't necessarily have to use them. And next up is a mod called HairUnlocked. This mod adds a total of 30 in-game hair options to the character creator. If you've ever wanted to take your character customization to the next level, these haircuts will help. Some of these hairstyles include companion hairstyles such as Shadowheart's ponytail and Karlach's undercut. There's also villain haircuts like the Harpy hairstyle, or even the goblin hairstyles like Priestess Gut, if you're ever jealous of her fabulous style. And overall, this is just a great mod giving you more customization options for your character's hair. And next up is FacesUnlocked. This mod adds faces of other races and many characters to character creation. This includes all of the origin characters and companions. There's even Isabel's face, Shadowheart, Jaheira, Minthara, and so many more. Now personally, I love this mod because I love to play as Drow, but I am not in love with the Drow face option. So this mod lets me play Drow, but choose the half-elf 3 face so I can enjoy all those Drow benefits without having to shapeshift to a face I want my character to have. So I highly recommend this mod if you've ever wanted more freedom to customize your character's face. And next up is Fast Digging. This mod makes digging instant. Now I like this mod because digging usually takes a few seconds to dig up the treasure, and most treasure actually isn't even worth digging up. So to me, this actually makes digging worth it again by making the chest appear instantly. Now it's a small and simple mod, but one that definitely improves quality of life if you ask me. I've actually found myself actually going for mounds once I've had fast digging because I know it's instant, and even though I know I'm digging up something that's probably just going to be sold to a trader, at least case, it's pretty much instant to get it. And next up is SecretScrolls. This mod adds over 100 scrolls to the game for spells and cantrips that did not come in scroll form. This includes cantrips like Dancing Lights, Guidance, and Produce Flame. But more excitingly, it also adds spell scrolls like Disguise Self, Shield, Speak with Animals, Guiding Bolt, Find Familiar Imp, and Power Word Kill. This mod adds the scrolls into the game seamlessly in a fair and balanced way so that you'll find them naturally. And you know me, anything with the word secret in it, I am a fan of. Definitely worth pointing out is that the icons are missing for all of these added scrolls, which doesn't seem to have been a problem in the past, but as of this video, releasing on patch 7 hotfix 28, the icons are still missing. Now, admittedly, this is kind of a deal breaker for me, but I'm hopeful that this will get fixed, at which point I would definitely use this mod for a playthrough. But this mod definitely has a lot of potential, and most importantly, this mod makes it so that you can finish the game with an inventory full of a wider variety of scrolls that you never ended up using. And next up is the mod Better Containers. This mod increases the default grid of containers to 6x7 instead of 3x5 in the non-modded version. This makes it much easier to see more items without always having to drag the container window to make it larger. The sorting options button for containers for some reason is different than in the main inventory. This mod fixes that, making them the same, which is amazing, and one thing that really bothered me with containers. The header of the bag is also made wider so that you can more easily grab it to move it around and change the size of the container window. Another awesome feature this mod adds is adding the container name, the content's weight, and its value in gold. This is nice if you're looking for items to sell and want to know which of your bags has the most valuable items. Overall, this mod adds a ton of extra features and gives you a wider grid to work with, making it an excellent quality of life improvement mod. And next up is a mod called Better Inventory UI. This mod is incredible and adds a lot of indicators to the items that you have in your inventory to help you clearly distinguish what's important. A check mark appears on books and notes you've read, so you know if there's something left unread, and those items that are unread also get a nice, slightly darker background to help them stand out. All items also get small icons in the upper left-hand corner of the item artwork, such as an apple to indicate it's camp supplies, a goblet to denote that it's alcohol, or an arrow for arrows, a musical note for instruments, and so on. It's a nice extra visual indicator that helps make it clear what's what. That's not all though. The mod also changes the color of the background of certain items. An item like a shovel, soap, or trap disarm toolkit will get a nice light blue background to signify its importance. Since unmodded, those items tend to blend in with junk you might find during your adventures, so I kind of like how they're given that different color. These backgrounds and icons help differentiate items with very similar artwork as well, but very different uses. For example, a grease bottle actually has utility versus a bottle which is just trader trash. And that's why this mod is super helpful for making your inventory more clear and easy to use. And next up is a mod called Better Topbar. This mod improves the Topbar that appears during combat or during turn-based mode. It moves the Topbar higher up so that there's more viewable space, it compresses it so that it doesn't overlap with the Illithid Powers button, and it adds a bunch of information about the combatants listed on the Topbar, things like armor class, current and maximum health points, and makes the concentration icon smaller so that it doesn't cover the entire portrait like in the unmodded version. Personally, I love the health points in the armor class since when you're up against a bunch of enemies, I like to go after the weakest ones first to try to take less damage when it's the enemy's turn. This add-on gives you a ton of extra information without having to inspect each enemy, and for those reasons, this is definitely a must-have mod. And next up is a mod called Better Hotbar 2. This mod improves the hotbar by increasing the number of columns from 16 to 25. It also makes the hotbar bigger by moving the status holder from the left of your avatar portrait to the top of the hotbar, a change I really enjoy since viewing what conditions you have is pretty important. It also improves the recast hotbar, which is way too big considering it usually only contains a single icon, and it's inflexible, unable to be moved, stretched, or modified. And the Better Hotbar 2 mod makes the recast bar, just like the other tabs, fully adjustable and even adds your passives as a tab, letting you easily toggle them on and off without having to change tabs. This change is huge for any player who plays seriously because there are so many reasons to toggle things like non-lethal attacks, great weapon master, sharpshooter all in, and even changing your manifestation of mind, body, or soul depending on what enemy you're going against if you're a monk, and so many more. So having the passives there is huge, and I highly recommend this mod since the hotbar is really your main interface, so you might as well make it better and easier to use. And next up is a mod called Better Trade Menu. This mod makes it possible to sell items from your camp chests and companions that are still in your camp. It also makes purchasing things and placing them directly in there possible. This is incredible because I usually have way too much stuff on my party members. I usually send things things to my camp chest, and then the items that are sent there are never seen or used again. This makes it so that I can easily sell things from my camp chest without having to go back to camp, unloading it from the chest, maybe walking encumbered over to a trader just to get rid of all of my junk. This mod also allows you to select multiple items within the barter menu, which previously only worked in the trade menu, and the mod also removes unnecessary things from the trade menu like paper dolls of the trader, your avatar, your equipment, and other decor in exchange for more trade and barter grids, which are now combined so you can more easily see everything you have and everything the trader has. It also displays attitude at the center top of the screen, which is a great place for it considering how important it is for how much you can earn by selling and discounts you can get by buying. One change that does take a bit of getting used to is that the gold amounts when bartering are at the bottom instead of the top, but other than that, this is definitely an upgrade to the old trade menu. I probably would keep the gold amounts at the top if it were up to me though. And next up is a mod called Unlimited Dyeing. This mod lets you never run out of dye again, meaning you really only need one of any dye to be able to use it for everything. Since there's no way for you to preview what your armor will look like when you dye it, this is really an essential mod if you're into dye. You can also use dye remover an unlimited number of times as well, and while it's a very simple mod, it's actually a really great quality of life improvement for anyone who likes to spice up their armor with dye. And next up is a mod called WithersTrader. This mod makes Withers able to trade with you. Withers comes with every single dye in the game, which is amazing if there's a certain dye you really enjoy, but don't get access to it until later on. Now, since it's just dye, I don't really mind having access to all these items from Act 1, and I think it's a fun way to customize your armor without having to deal with locating the dye, running out of it, etc., which can actually be pretty hidden at times. Also, having access to a trader in your camp is really useful if you ever want to sell items. And next up are a number of customized dice mods: Diamond Dices, Path of Nightmares, Underdark Dice, Shar Dice, and so many more. If you just go into the mod manager, go to the search bar and type in dice, you can find a ton of different customized dice. Now, the plain dice you start with does get old over time, and switching it up with something that looks cooler is as easy as getting one of these mods. Downloading the mod is much easier than having to beat honor mode, and there's so many much cooler options than golden dice in there, so highly recommend you give those a try. And next up is a mod called No Press Any Key Menu. This mod is actually amazing because it does one simple thing. It bypasses the press any key menu and brings you directly to the Ball Temple screen with the options, so you don't have to press any key and then wait for the menu to appear on the left. If you play Baldur's Gate 3 a lot and you get annoyed by how long it takes to get back into the game, this mod will actually save you time and streamline your experience to getting back to your game. And next up is called Better Target Info Mod. This mod is one of my favorites, adding a ton of information to targets, saving you time from having to inspect each and every enemy. This mod also adds an icon of your target, and if that target is a container, how many items are inside of it. It also shows vulnerabilities and resistances right below the health bar, which is a major quality of life improvement. It will also show the race of your target, and it makes the status icon smaller so everything is more legible. The race of your target is important because, of course, certain arrows deal bonus damage to certain races. Also, you can get advantage against monstrosities with the hunting short bow, so lots of reasons to know what race you're going up against. Containers will also show the total value of items inside, so even if you see a small number near a chest icon, if the gold is high, it can save you time letting you know there's actually something valuable inside. And it also shows if the chest is sturdy, so you know if you'll need to lockpick or use knock, or if you're strong enough to use your two-handed orcish lockpick to get it open, you know what to do. It also aligns health, name, and race info, so it creates a more compact targeting experience. Highly recommended. And next up is Better Tooltips. This mod improves tooltips, adds labels to what kind of item a given item actually is, things like cloak, ring, amulet, vanity, clothing, instrument, grenade, and more, adding a total of 19 different categories to item tooltips. Also, lots of scroll spells don't list what school of magic they are. This mod adds that to the tooltip. For example, a scroll of hypnotic pattern will now show that it is a level 3 illusion spell. Also, added to spell tooltips is a golden text to whether or not the spell requires concentration, so that it really pops out at you. One of the biggest beginner mistakes I made was breaking concentration on a spell because I cast another concentration spell, so this will help prevent that. The mod also improves item flavor text by making it brighter and no longer italicized, and giving it a very faint background to make it more legible. And there's also 2 more improvements to tooltips. If a condition lasts until long rest, instead of seeing a random hyphen denoting that, you'll now actually see the words until long rest. And there are now improved icons for weapon proficiencies and versatile/two-handed weapon icons. And next up is a mod called Do Not Attack the Ground. Now, embarrassingly, I have many many times previously attacked the ground right next to the enemy and wasted my action, and in some cases wasted my entire turn. So it's an awful feeling, and this mod literally prevents you from making weapon attacks, unarmed attacks, and even casting certain spells at the ground. It's a great mod for people who might rush a bit through combat, and if it's ever happened to you before, I think this mod will be a nice surprise to help save you from wasting your turn again in the future. And next up is FearTaylor's Camp Clothes. This mod adds over 450 gloves, hats, helmets, cloaks, and other items for the clothing slots. This lets you continue to upgrade your gear, but always have control of how your character looks by displaying your camp clothing. But it's not only camp clothes, it's equipment you'd never have access to normally. If you've wanted to wear the Night Song's armor, you can do that with FearTaylor's Camp Clothes. If you want to wear any NPC's outfit, helmet, shoes, it's all available. There's tons of different items to customize the look of your character, which is great. It's also important to read the tooltips. Some equipment can only be worn by certain body types. Now, personally, I think the Cambion armor looks awesome, and the Sharon clothing looks amazing as well. So I highly recommend you check out FearTaylor's Camp Clothes to explore all the different equipment you can customize your character with. And next up is a mod that adds a new class to the game, the Blood Mage. This is a unique spellcaster which uses Constitution as its spellcasting modifier, and whenever using blood magic suffers necrotic damage. This unique class has higher maximum health because of the damage suffered by casting, but also has a lot of interesting synergies centered around blood. For example, Blessing of Blood grants a plus 1d4 bonus to all attack rolls, skill rolls, and saves when the Blood Mage is standing in blood. There's also a spell called Boil Hide, which grants a target creature plus 2 AC and deals 1d4 acid damage to every melee attacker for 1 minute. Gross, yet highly effective. The Blood Mage also has cantrips like Blood Bolt, which deals 1d10 acid damage and inflicts the target with bleeding, or Blood Siphon, which deals 1d8 necrotic damage and grants you hit points equal to half the damage dealt. And then there are powerful spells like Mass Exsanguination, which inflicts all enemies and yourself with 8d6 necrotic damage and weakened until the end of their next turn, and you heal for half the damage dealt. It's a very cool class, worth checking out. And next up is the Cheater's Ring. If you've ever wanted cheat codes for Baldur's Gate 3, this ring pretty much allows you to do anything you'd want to do. Once you install the mod, you'll find the Cheater's Ring in your inventory, and equipping it gives you the Cheater's Spell Scroll, which grants you all of the Cheater's Ring active spells. These spells include allowing you to grant the powers of the ring to any target as if they were wearing the ring, which is helpful for turning on cheat mode essentially for all your characters. It also gives you a ton of convenient spells like Knock, Misty Step, Speak with Dead, and Animals. There's Fly, Invisibility, Misty Step, but with 100 feet range, and 3 spells that will annihilate any enemy instantly: Cheater's Kill, Cheater's Explosion, and Cheater's Magic Missile. These spells all deal so much damage, most enemies will not survive a single strike from them. It also grants you access to any item in the game you could ever want through summoning chests full of different types of items. There's Summon Potion Box for all potions in the game, which includes healing potions, elixirs, and even potions of everlasting vigor. However, interestingly enough, they do not stack. You can also summon a scroll box for any spell in the game that comes in the form of a scroll. This includes hidden scrolls like Scroll of Artistry of War and Scroll of Bestial Communion. There's also a Camp Clothes box to fully customize the look of your camp clothes, containing origin character clothes too, if you ever wanted to have matching pajamas with Shadowheart. The Armor box has all of your armors, which includes cloaks, and then there's the Unreleased Items box, which contains items 100% of players have never seen before and could be fun to just look through to see some of these new items. Then there's the Miscellaneous Items box, which actually has some cool things like a Potion of Max Level. Of course, the item doesn't really exist in the unmodded version of the game. Then there's the Arrow box, which is pretty self-explanatory, contains chickens. And then there's the Weapon box and Jewelry box, containing swords, bows, axes, rings, and necklaces, respectively. Essentially, once you put this ring on, you have access to any item in the game immediately. And these are just the active spells you get from the Cheater's Scroll. You also get a number of toggleable passive abilities. You can toggle on Never Critical Fail, Wash Up After Combat automatically, become immune to all damage and status effects, create a necrotic aura that makes your spells not require corpses. You can add 500 damage to all attacks. You can always critical success roll on dice rolls, or just add plus 20 to all rolls, and even set all ability scores to 25. So the Cheater's Ring has you covered. If you're looking to just stroll through the game without a worry in your mind, or if you ever want to just see all the different items you may have missed, the Cheater's Ring gives you access to everything. And last up is the MoveFaster mod. This mod makes you move faster outside of combat. This is actually a great quality of life improvement. I would usually be spamming jump or maybe even using Misty Step from Cheater's Ring to get around faster, but this is actually much better better if you just want to be lazy. This mod increases all characters' base run speed from 3.75 meters per second to 7.5 meters per second, so it doubles your movement speed outside of combat. It's a very simple mod that almost makes you feel like you're cheating or speed hacking, but I think it's fine considering it only works outside of combat, and it's especially nice in Act 3 where you're mostly walking around a really big city until you can get all the waypoints, which can be a pain. And that's it for this video, but before you head out, don't forget to check out today's sponsor, War Thunder, and get ready to blow up some tanks. You can play for free right now on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile. Just use the links in the pinned comment or video description. If you're new to War Thunder or coming back after at least a 6-month break, you'll get a huge bonus pack on PC or consoles. This includes premium vehicles, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account time. This offer is available for a limited time, so don't wait. Click the link now.